Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be looking at the DC Multiverse Mcfarlane Toys Batman Earth Negative 32 and Green Lantern 2-pack, which is the Dawnbreaker and Hal Jordan. Which is exciting because this is the first time we're getting the Hal Jordan, but we have already gotten the Dawnbreaker previously, so a little bit high and low. And the Hal Jordan is basically a repaint of the John Stewart figure that we've gotten previously, so we'll see if it surprises us in any way. Anyway, for those who like mint and sealed packaging, it's a nice box. Open face window, you can see the figures inside and the accessories side of the box, back of the box. You get a nice artwork of the figures posed, which you don't get a card off, top of the box and bottom of the box. So yeah, this is exciting. So let's open the package and see what they're like inside. Alright, and here we have the Green Lanterns out of packaging, and I'm excited to have it, but there are things that disappoint me, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But before that, we'll take a look at what's inside the packaging so you can see what it looks like. I don't think it's OWA. I think it might be OWA actually. Either that or it's the home of Batman Earth Negative 32, and that might be Coast City blowing up. I'm not sure. I'm only guessing because of the tentacles up over there. But it's a cool backdrop to have, and it's a shame that you have to sort of like ruin it when you remove the cards and the stand. I only remove the cards. Speaking of, again, you can see it comes with two stands. So if you like that backdrop, you're gonna have to do some surgery, but you can use a sharp knife, but be careful. Please be careful when you're using the knife. Kids, ask your parents if you want to do that. As we saw while we're talking about it, it comes with two collector cards, which are photographs of the figure themselves. So very nice. You have the bios over there. Comparing this card to the previous release of Dawnbreaker, I have it in a card holder. You can see we have the comic art and the figure art. You have a lot more stats over here, but it's basically the same right up. So there you go. Those are the cards. And finally, taking a look at the figures, which, like I said, Hal Jordan's basically a repaint of the John Stewart figure with different accessories. Dawnbreaker is essentially the same figure. So we'll take a look at it in that light. Starting with the Dawnbreaker. Get him out of the stand. Oh, and the stand, actually. So this 2-pack comes with a stand. So this 2-pack comes with a stand. It's a really nice green stand. All done in this color and then painted on this side in sort of the black shading. But you have Hal Jordan's side, which is a rocket with a nice Green Lantern logo right here. So basically you have the rocket and then air flows, and smoke, and then a place for his foot. And he stands pretty nice on it. Whereas the Dawnbreaker, you have the giant tentacle and the chains, again, brushed in that black paint to make it distinct. So that's pretty cool. Pretty hollow inside. Okay, so let's start with the Dawnbreaker figure, and it is exactly the same as the release before, except now why this is disappointing is that I feel like the quality of the figure has gone down a little bit, and I'll talk about it when I go through the figure itself. I will take a look at it fully for anyone who doesn't have the figure, bringing in the other Dawnbreaker before I do any details. You can see it's the exact same figure. Coming to take a close look at the head sculpt, you have that Batman head with the goggles. You can see in the older version that I feel like the paint was done a lot better in the older version. The face of the older one looked a lot darker, but the teeth look a lot more detailed. Whereas this one is sort of like just a plain color. But if this was your first figure, you know, these are minor changes that it wouldn't make too much of a difference. But you still have that nice sculpt, except the fact that the paint is not done very well here. It's a bit sloppily painted. You can see glue overspray. Too much like excess glue on the Batman logo. You have the logo not really painted on perfectly. Whereas this one, a lot cleaner than the older one. But it's essentially the same. See all that detail. Doing spin around. You have the armor right there. Here's the problem that I had with the older figure. The torso piece, the abdomen piece never lined up properly. It'll always bounce back. This one, it's much easier to line up. So that's nice, but that might be a quality control issue on my end more than anything. But yeah, essentially the same figure. You still have a lot of sculpt. You have the belt and the tubes going on. The butt. Legs have decent sculpt. And again, different material for the boot. But all that nice sculpting work down there. Now, one thing that's cool about the Dawnbreaker is the fact that some of its paint is actually I don't know the word for it, black light reactive. So if you shine a black light over him, and I have a small black light over here, you can see that his logo will light up. It's a lime green to the eye. I'll see if I can take photos of it that's more akin to it. Shines on the logo, it shines on the belt, it shines on the wrist. The wrists don't seem to be on purpose, and the ball joints basically. It also shines a little bit on the mask, the goggles, and the earpieces. So that's pretty cool. I really like that feature. That was present in the old version as well. Now taking a look at the one accessory that Dawnbreaker has exclusively, it's still the same sculpt. It's a really nice sculpt. You have the bats shooting out from the Dawnbreaker with the tentacles wrapping around it. Very well sculpted. You can see the suckers of the tentacles. You can see the bats over there. Now the problem with this is that it by itself it's really good, but you compare it to the older one, and you can sort of see the difference. This feels like cheap plastic, whereas this feels like sort of like very solid, very much more well done. It feels like they used clear plastic for this and then just painted over it, whereas this one, it feels like they use semi-clear plastic. I don't know. There's a big difference when you have it in person when you're holding it, and even on camera you can sort of see this seems to be a deeper green than this. Personally, I prefer the older one, but like I said, it's not a big deal if this is your only copy. Because it's different, you can't have like a swarm, because it will look different, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Put it in, you just weave through the arm and sort of find the balance. There's no real place to peg it in or anything that I know of, and it's sort of hard to balance it sometimes. Sometimes I use the wing of this bat the bat at the back to like grab onto the arm, but you can do that. It'll hang on sometimes. You can also have it shooting out of his hand like they do in most photos, and you just have to find the balance again. As I said, there you go. And it's nice. I really like it. As a standalone thing, like I said, with this release, if I only had this release, I would be really happy with it. But having the old piece to compare it to shows just how, I don't even know if cheap is the right word, but it does feel a lot more of a toy than the older release did. They're still toys, but this feels like it was given a lot less care, which is a little bit of a shame. But that's Dawnbreaker. For its articulation, head can turn that much before it stretches, that much before it stretches. Up not so much, down more so. Torso ball joint doesn't do very much. Bottom ball joint does a little bit less. No, a little bit more. Goes out without being hindered by this. This is a soft rubber piece. As well as, actually that seems to be the only soft rubber piece in the figure. Maybe the boots. Bicep rotates. Elbows bend in. You got your double hinge ball joint for both arms. And you can see there's a ring sculpted but not painted, which I wish they painted like this. That would be so cool to have it light up. Legs come up this much. Back that much. Double jointed knees that work very well. You have the double peg ball joint as well in the feet. That can make it do whatever you want, and toes. So that is the Dawnbreaker figure. What do I think of this figure? Standalone, I like it, except for the quality control issues, like the logo. If you mess up a logo, it's sort of like that's the part of the figure that hurts the most to mess up, the logo. But as a standalone figure, it's really nice. Having the older Dawnbreaker figure, I feel the quality change in this one. Maybe the figure not so much, but like little things like the accessories and stuff like that really, really bring it down. That's Dawnbreaker. We move on to Hal Jordan. And here we have what probably 99% of the people who bought this 2-pack bought this for, the Hal Jordan figure. And I'm really happy to have a Hal Jordan in the Mcfarlane collection. It's basically this, like I keep saying, but it's basically the same mold as the Jon Stewart figure, which we have here, all armored up. But it has its own accessories. But you can see the sculpt is exactly the same. In fact, the only thing that's different between these two figures are the neck and the head. Let's unarmor Jon Stewart. So you can see the base body of Jon Stewart is exactly the same as the base body of the Hal Jordan figure, except that from here to here it's green and the gloves are white. Otherwise, exactly the same. The sculpt is the same. I'll go through the sculpt in a bit. The problem with this is such a clean paint for Jon Stewart. In fact, I was very impressed with the paint in this one. There are some sloppy things about the Hal Jordan figure, and let's go through it together. You see, the face sculpt is really nice. He's in this like scowl fighting face, which is very akin to the Flash 2-pack with Barry Allen having the sort of like fighting face. So it makes me wonder if they're going to release another Hal Jordan figure with a more neutral, with a more smirky maybe face. I think Hal Jordan's supposed to be a little bit more of a cocky character, so you know that smirk would go a long way. But you can see it's not too bad, but there's a little bit of overspray on the mask above right here. So you get a little bit of green on the skin, on my copy anyway. So, and I'm nitpicking because I really wanted the perfect Green Lantern figure, but we're not getting it here. Anyway, so the body still have the sculpt. You can see the line where Jon Stewart's green ends right there. Same sculpt on the back and on the arms as well, but you can see the arms, the lines are not as clean. You can see the green spilling over to the black part of the uniform, especially here. This is a really bad culprit. And here there's a little bit of underspray. You get the black creeping on the green. Unlike in the Jon Stewart figure, it's very clean lines all throughout. So you can see the Green Lantern logo. It turned out pretty okay. A little bit of alignment issues. You have some scuff here. The back is scuffed also a little bit. The thing about this figure is the butterfly joint green makes more sense than the Jon Stewart's. So that's pretty nice. It doesn't break up the mold as much. You have the rubber piece in the middle, which becomes green. Under all the lights, it does look like a little bit of a different color, but outside the lights in a regular setting, when you look at your room, it's not a big deal. See all the sculpt on the arm and the glove. Very nice sculpting. The ball joint on the glove is hidden by the arm piece, but not inside. But it does better than a lot of Mcfarlane figures, so that's okay. The ring is painted. There's no Lantern logo on it, but that's fine. You have the same gloves, exact same gloves. 2 open hands. You got the butt piece. They have the exact same butt. And everything from the butt down is exactly the same as the Jon Stewart figure. A little bit of paint sloppiness, which is really disappointing. I really wish they took more care in painting this figure. I understand it's not the most premium of figures, but they still could have done a better job. One more thing to note about quality while we're talking about it is this arm is so loose. Right? Rather than this arm is super loose. So you can see the glove, which is kind of heavy. What I have to do is, yeah, that's not very, I don't like that. It's an easy fix. You know, you just pull out the arm and I can tighten that ball joint, but the fact that I have to do it is kind of disappointing to me. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Speaking of the accessories, you have 2 new accessories with Hal Jordan. You have the rocket boosting thing, which a lot of nice, very like amazing sculpt here actually. You have the Green Lantern symbol over there in the middle, right there. A lot of circuitry going on. There you go, that's the inside of the rockets. And you have the wonderful fire effects. Whereas in the glove, you have a boxing glove with the stitches going on. You have the Green Lantern logo on the outside of the boxing glove. And sort of like a flame effects, I guess, or like effects. Like whoosh effects, you know, it's just like, it's a construct. It's not a full boxing glove. So I think it's being either made or, you know, it's a pretty cool effect. There's also a what looks like a peg, and you can see inside it's molded a little bit right there, but it's not a peg. What you do here is you take the hand, and at first I got confused because it wouldn't fit, but you really have to play match the shape here. So you can see that the hand matches the shape perfect, otherwise it's not gonna fit. So you have that. There you go. But it fits nicely if once you get the shape. You just have to get that shape in. And it's nice, it's cool because that peg sort of, you can see it looks like that the boxing glove is coming from the ring, and I absolutely love that little detail. That's so cool to me. It's not just a random floating boxing glove, it's actually coming from his power ring. And you know, as disappointed as I am with this figure in terms of quality control, things like that really make it for me. One more thing to note, actually, this backpack is super solid. Once it's on its back, he makes Hal very top heavy. So it really helps to have a stand, or like, you know, if it can with a flight stand. Of course now he stands up properly, but you know, just standing on the shelf, you can see he's a little bit leaning forward, and it's a long peg. It is pretty solid, and these two accessories are pretty heavy. Now, just to compare it to the older accessories, it's painted differently from the Jon Stewart effect, where this is a little bit of a lighter green. This is a deeper green with a little bit of blue in it. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but in certain lights, it comes off blue. Maybe it might be a reflection, but it's definitely a deeper green than the Jon Stewart one, compared to Jon Stewart's backpack and Gatling gun. You have that. It's a little underwhelming, considering these were very cool. But for Hal Jordan, this is all he really used. This is all he really needed. You know. And I hope if they release a single pack of this, you know, they release more constructs, because I absolutely love Green Lantern constructs. But still, no fists. Why don't you give Green Lantern fists? Or a lantern. A lantern would be really nice. Otherwise, yeah. You can still use Jon Stewart's power armor, but it requires removing the head of Hal Jordan because the hole won't fit his head. But it's easy. It's just a ball joint. Slip it on, and it fits just like Jon Stewart's does. And you can still, like before, put that in there, which is pretty cool. So if you have an extra power construct, you can do that. Looks really good. So I'm really happy to have this guy. If not for the quality control issues. Other than the quality control issues, this is such a good release, in my opinion. It has, other than the power battery, you have the essential of Hal Jordan. You have the boxing glove, which he used all the time, and a jetpack, which, you know, it's always fun to have more lantern constructs. So yeah, articulation just the same as the Jon Stewart figure. Head, you saw a double ball joint. It looks up that much. So combined with the waist, he can sort of get in the flight pose. Not so much, almost there. Looks down a lot more. Does that. Can go out like that. Still annoys me, that loose shoulder. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. You have the Mcfarlane ball joint for the hands, which is good. You have a ball joint up here and a ball joint down here, back that much. So maybe you can get flight pose. Yeah, you can get flight pose out of him. Pretty good. Except that you get that sticking out, which is not that appealing. You get crunch that forward, that much forward. Legs forward all the way. Back, not so much. Double ball joint works well. And you have the Mcfarlane ball joint for the feet. Up, down. And this ball joint is actually pretty tight. And toe articulation. One more thing I wanted to note about the Green Lantern is that although his ring is painted as I previously mentioned, it's just the tip of the ring. I kind of wish they painted the entire ring, as you can see. Alright, now for comparisons, putting them side by side, you can see Hal Jordan is standing at around 7 inches tall. Dawnbreaker is standing at 7 inches as well, a little bit taller. Now, before moving on to the comparison, between the shots, I actually tightened the ball joint a little bit. So now it's a little bit, I think I overdid the tightness, but it's not, it doesn't move down as easily now. So that's great, but I was hoping that I wouldn't have had to do that myself. So hopefully you guys don't have to deal with that. Now, I don't collect the other death metal figures, so I don't really have too many comparisons for Dawnbreaker, but here he is with the previous Green Lantern figure. That's Green Lantern John Stewart with all of his accessories. And just for fun, let's compare them to the previously released versions of the same mold. Again, same release. Now you can see the Mcfarlane Hal Jordan next to 3 other Hal Jordans I have. This is the DC Essentials Hal Jordan that I recently reviewed. The DC Direct Hal Jordan, a lot shinier on this guy. And the DC Icons Hal Jordan. Here he is with Yellow Lantern Sinestro and White Lantern Hal Jordan. Again, DC Essentials and DC Direct over there. To compare him with the other comic figures that I have, comic Justice League figures that I have, here is with Barry Allen Flash and Superman figure. And he looks good in between the two of them. I know there's a comic Batman figure, but the rest of the Justice League is still up in the air and we're waiting for that release. So looking forward to that. Just leaving Barry here for a bit because these two are good friends and are seen a lot in comics. I'm glad to finally have the Flash and Green Lantern in the Mcfarlane scale. Cool to have these two figures around. Last but not least, comparing him to our usual comparisons, where we have John Stewart back again in the spotlight and Marvel Legends Iron Man right here, so you can see how they stack. I wonder if Mcfarlane has the license to do the Iron Man Green Lantern amalgam. That would be pretty cool. And just for fun, this is the last comparison between the two Green Lanterns, both with all of their accessories attached. So what did I think of this 2-pack? Individually first, I know I harken this Green Lantern a lot, but it's a really good figure. It was a really good mold with the John Stewart figure already. The subtle change in colors, which is really basically just 3 parts, the lower torso, this rubber piece, and the gloves, and of course the head, actually makes a world of difference for the feel of the Green Lantern. And to me, it's a good depiction of Hal Jordan. In fact, I think it's a pretty good move comic-wise because Green Lanterns are all from the same corps, so they have a uniform. So to have Hal Jordan finally is fun, to finally have him, and the fact that they threw in Hal's boxing glove and a backpack is so much fun. Quality control issues are an issue, but other than that, I thoroughly enjoy the figure, and I think it's enough of a retool and repaint from the John Stewart Green Lantern figure to merit him his own action figure, and for me, would highly recommend, especially for Green Lantern fans. Now, the Dawnbreaker figure, I have always loved the Dawnbreaker figure. I wasn't sold on the Mcfarlane line until I got this. This is the one that really converted me and made me think that the DC license is in good hands with them, and I really love it. It has so much going for it, and it's just a fun figure to play around with. It's cool just standing there, looking menacing, and I'm glad to have it. Now, as a 2-pack, including the base, if you don't have the Dawnbreaker figure, yes, it's definitely worth getting this 2-pack. This is such a fun 2-pack, especially for Green Lantern fans. The base is okay. It's a fun little base. Better than just rocks and stuff like that. It makes sense for the characters. The problem is if you already have the Dawnbreaker figure, it doesn't really merit having another one. If you can find just the Hal Jordan, I don't think it's worth buying a second Dawnbreaker figure, especially because it's so character specific. But still, I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, and it's super worth it having these in my collection. Still don't know what I'm going to do with the extra one though. I am hoping that they release a single card Hal Jordan with a separate head sculpt and more accessories, but only time will tell if Mcfarlane is going to do that. Now, by itself, the 2-pack is, for me, 2 thumbs up. It's a great 2-pack. Both figures are excellent, and you can't go wrong with either of these figures. Just hope that you don't get quality control issues, but that's something that you can't really control. And with that, thank you for joining me. If you like this video, leave a like, comment if you want to. Let me know if you like the figure, if you're looking forward to it, or if you disagree with me. Let me know all in the comments below, and subscribe, why not? I will be posting more videos coming up. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye.